At least you know the windows still work. Well, we might as well try and see if we can get this dashboard out, because we've really got to get this cluster restored. We'll clean up the floors a little bit more and just get more of the junk out of it, and then we'll get started trying to get this cluster out and trying to get more parts of the dash out, just to make it as easy as possible to work on everything else once it actually gets in the workshop. And once everything's closer to getting the car running, we'll have more parts that are fully restored and ready to go back in. It needs a bit of lubrication. Some of the main things we're going to cover off is we're going to wash these floors out, get all that sound deadening crap off the floors on this side, scrub it up a little bit more and see how bad the floors are. We did clean this side up, and to be honest, once you got all that insulation out, it's actually come through pretty clean. Nice and solid, not really any holes in the floor. It's more muddy and dirty here because all I've been doing is just drowning this car in oil. If we compare the pair, have a look at this side. And then have a look at this side. So let me show you what I mean when I say we need to get this cluster out. So we've got the factory speedo and we've got the factory tacho and clock, but the water and oil pressure gauge has been replaced by an aftermarket VDO one. And if you look at the air conditioning ducts, another one's been filled in with a different aftermarket VDO gauge. We're going to get all these out and replaced, fully restored and back in with the correct factory gauges. Now, while I'm sure it would have been easier to get this done with that door open, we still can't get this bloody thing open, and we don't have too much room to work with on the other side anyway. So I've chucked a little tray to clean up all the scraps from underneath, and I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver to pop open those factory patches here that they put in the car when they would drain them after they had been dunked in primer. So we'll pop this thing off, we'll scrape everything out, and we'll clean up as much as we can. Looks like we've had someone trying to clean the bugs out of here. Poor little huntsman looks like he's been cooking in here for a while. Alright, let's get this hatch open and see how much we can clean out. Now let's just have a look how much crap actually came off the floors. I've had to empty this bucket twice from the amount of that insulation crap and rust flakes that have come off, and the steel brush is totally gunked up with all of that foam and crap. So let's have a look and see what the floors look like. With all things considered, I think the floor actually came out really good. It's actually really solid. There are almost no points in where the rust has broken through. There's a really small point here, and for some reason, on almost every Firebird I've seen, there's rust at the top of that hump. I don't know why. So there's a little bit of a hole there, but that is nothing that a little bit of a wire wheel going back and forth on this with some rust converter won't fix. So that's awesome. I really don't think these floors have to be replaced at all, which is really good news considering how much more rust work the rest of the car needs. So now that we've got a little bit of a cleaner working environment, we can start trying to get this dash cluster out and see if we can get these instruments out. All right, let's try and get this dash bezel out. Now, the problem is with right-hand drive conversions, no two conversions are the same. So there's not really any specific way the dash is meant to come out. Normally there's 3 screws, some small little Phillips heads holding it in from the top, and these 2 really long ones that hold it in from the bottom, but there's actually nothing there. There are 3 holes to mount screws, but there's not actually anything in them. Like, does the whole thing come out? I've noticed there's these 3 screws on the top of this layer of the dash, maybe this part removes. I actually don't know. That's the whole problem, because I've tried removing it before, but it is stuck in place. Like, it is tightly in there, like it won't budge at all. I don't really want to break this bezel, but I actually don't know how it's meant to come out. The ashtray doesn't really unscrew, so let's have a closer look. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. I've removed those screws. Oh, I know where that's from. That's from the kick panel on a factory AC car. That's a long way from home. But I think we've made a little bit of progress here. I think I figured out what's going on. I've removed the screws on this fascia, and it feels like it can come out. I couldn't find anything else holding it in. So, oh, all right, I think we're getting somewhere. Oh, so what they've done is they've made the whole dash the bezel. Oh, Christ. Okay, so I think that's not going to be restorable. But we're going to keep trying to get some leeway here. Oh, something's happening. All right. I think we're getting somewhere. All right. Yeah, it looks like the whole thing has to come out. All right. What we're going to try to do now is we're going to drop this column. That's easy to drop. Well, I jinxed it now. But I'm going to drop the column and see if that gives us a little bit more room to get this whole fascia out. Because the speedo and everything was disconnected already when I got the car. So I don't think anything's connected back there, but we'll check anyway. All right. So we've got some progress going here, which is good. I think I've figured out how this is going to come out. Essentially all we're doing now is just dropping the steering column, and if you've ever taken the column out of a Firebird, it's pretty easy. It looks like on this conversion it's the same deal. There's this U-shaped bracket that goes underneath the dash that supports the column with 4 bolts, 1/2-inch bolts, 2 up and 2 below. Once this comes out, there's the 2 big anchor bolts that hold the column in. We'll drop those, and I think it should give us some leeway to get up in there and see what's going on behind this dash. Okay, this column is dropped, and this cluster is almost out. All right, we're going all the way. That's 1. That's 2. That's it. Column's all the way down. Oh, Christ. The rust back there. And you know what? Nothing is connected. Oh, these gauges are bad. Oh. Underwater, 50 legs under the sea. Let's have a look behind the cluster. Now, I'm sure plenty of you were wondering, how did they make a right-hand drive dash? This is just one example of one. Now, most of the cables actually came off pretty easy, but have a look at how they've hooked up that aftermarket video gauge cluster. It's actually gone through whatever that air conditioning duct was supposed to be. Alright, I don't see any easy way of getting those off. I don't care about those aftermarket gauges. This thing's going chop suey. Now we commence the dashboard autopsy, and I've got one word for this. Diabolical. I have never seen a right-hand drive dashboard conversion that had everything housed in this same unit like this. Now, this is absolutely disgusting with rust. The circuit board looks surprisingly okay, and what was weird was all the contacts actually came off pretty nicely, even though those are pretty badly rusted. Original AC unit, original housing, original light switch sort of, which I don't think is going to work anyway. But everything is all riveted together. That is so cut rate. I was going to send this dash bezel out to get a special restoration job by a certain someone down in Victoria. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's plausible. See, what's also strange is they've obviously, at one point when this was converted, gone to the effort to make all of this air conditioning equipment, because all of the AC stuff was plugged in, but there was no ductwork. There was actually nothing underneath the dash. That was something I was surprised by. Normally, behind the dash of an AC Firebird with a few options, it's pretty busy in there. There's wirings, there's hoses, there's ducts going everywhere, but there was nothing there. So I think the previous owner being absolutely everything for the aircon system, because he mentioned the brackets and the compressor he chucked out, spewing, but I do have a nice gate coated set. But I think absolutely everything was toasted back there. So that all ended up in the bin, and I don't think we have much left of it. Alright, that screw is undone, and here comes, oh my God. Okay, so if you haven't seen that, what they've actually done is they've glued this VDO gauge to the housing. I just took that off thinking, oh okay, it's just going to be inside there, we can remove that. I know someone who wanted these VDO gauges, but that's bad. So, okay, that's actually fused to the dash panel there. Oh, the fun doesn't end. Alright, that's a top one. I don't know how that's going to come on. That's been elastic on there. Just diabolical. This is I don't know who thought this was a good idea. I want to know who worked on that and said, yep, this is a top idea. That's how that should be. Alright, that's loosen up. I don't know how it... Oh, okay. Snap, crackle, and pop. Okay. Here's our custom right-hand drive specialties dash duct. I am speechless. I don't know what you... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's going in the bin. Alright, this VDO gauge came out nicely. So, Yero Mick, if you're watching, I'm doing this for you. There's your KPA one. That's in nice condition. Look at that. That one came out alright. As for the other one, alright. I'm going to try and break up that elastic there with a tiny little flathead and see if we can massage this one out. Something's happening. It's moving now, it's free. Alright, here we go. Look at that. VDO temperature gauge has been salvaged. That's 2 for 2. Funnily enough, they've got to be the only things on this cluster that aren't rusted. Okay. Look at that. Alright, so there are the key components removed from our right-hand drive dash infrastructure. And I mean, geez, when you look at it like this, you think, oh man, that doesn't look too bad. It almost looks like a left-hand drive one, but then as soon as you take a look behind, it's death row back there. So we've saved those two little VDO gauges. They look like they're in really good condition, and we know someone who wants those very dearly, so we're going to hold on to those for our very important person. Our gauge clusters here, man, they're pretty bad. Literally falling apart. I reckon these could still be saved. The face on this 78 to 74 Speedo is pretty bad. Like you can see there's little bits of rust and pitting on there. So it might need another Speedo. The tacho and the clock looks really good. Seems a bit free, but inside you can still tell it's really rusted in there. I know a guy, he's good. I just don't know if he's that good. And you know what? The housing is really disgustingly butchered for that stupid VDO gauge. So again, whoever did this, you're a hack. This is terrible. The fuel and the voltage meter. Look, it's rusted here, but you know what? These weren't really well coated from factory anyway. So most Firebird gauges, once you take them out after sitting in there for 40 years, are probably going to look like this. I actually think this one will safe and come up real nice. Again, look at the butchering. Everything has to be butchered. On a right-hand drive car, there's just no escape. But as much as I wish I could throw this away, until I convert that car back to left-hand drive, I have to use this. I've got no choice. So I'm going to try and clean this up as best as I can. Might even replace this air conditioning duct just for the look of it, even though I'm probably not going to run it. I'll probably keep that control on it, but I'll wash it because, to be honest, this HVAC control looks really nice. It doesn't look like it's been touched at all. The porcupine on the back of it looks really good too. That light switch looks like it's got massive corrosion in it. I'll be shocked if it works. And the wiper switch actually surprisingly looks pretty good too. The contacts on it look really nice. Can't tell if that's been soldered there, which to me implies maybe someone's tried fixing it before. But it looks good. I reckon that might actually still work. So there we go. We're gonna have to keep this for now. I'm gonna give it a really good wash as well, that outline there, just to clean it up, because look, if I just want to get the car running and driving, I've got to use it. It's not like I'm gonna fabricate something else to put in there. That's it. I'm not doing anything else for that right hand drive conversion. All right, let's clean these up and see what we come up with and see what's next. So the objectives ticked off for today. We managed to get this cluster out. We've cleaned up the floors a little bit more. So once we get it into the workshop, I don't think there'll be too much left to do aside from the driveline. I'm hoping all these electronics aren't going to give us too much of a headache, and that heater box that's in there is going to get gutted and removed, because I definitely don't think we're going to be using that one again.